All right. Welcome to another TMF podcast and another special, well, I should say this, a repeating special guest, Mark Markovic. We'll give people a little bit of time to come in here, play a little bit of music, and catch a little bit of feedback. What about you, Mark?
What about my feet?
Are you catching any feedback?
Oh, no, everything's good.
Good. We'll allow a few people to go in here. Looks like you got some heavy tile back there, man.
Yeah, I'm a graphics guy. You gotta have examples.
Graphic or graphic? Anyway, I want to welcome everybody to another TMF podcast, and we'll be breaking down more about hard stone and hard floors, I should say. Tonight we're talking about pre-inspection for up the chat. If I can get the music cut off there. Got the chat up. If you guys want to come on in, Mark is starting to fill up. The room is. So we'll get started here in a couple of minutes. Like I said, we're going to be talking about pre-inspection for tile and grout restoration. And perhaps we can get a couple of people come in and let us know if you're getting good sound. Howdy. I also want to give a reminder again, some of you guys are coming from private groups on Facebook and YouTube. If you would, go ahead and state your name when you make a comment. That will help us identify who you are. Sounds good. Mark, you want to speak a little bit before we get started here? I'll usually get started after about 3 or 4 minutes. Make sure everybody can hear you good. Stephen Smith said he can hear me well. Let's hear if he can hear you.
I haven't said much. I don't know ASL, so I can't do sign language, so I'll have to use my mouth and see how it works. You had quite a crowd last week, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. It's starting to pick up right now also. How you doing, Jake? Good to see you from. And we'll go ahead and say a couple pleasantries to people before we get started. I'll be sticking with it pretty thorough. Just remember that. Okay, Mark. You hear me pretty good, Mark, too?
Good and clear.
Good. All right. And maybe we should use that as our
starting. That's how they stop a fight, isn't it? No, it's a bell, a ding, ding, ding. You know,
yeah, something like
boxing
that.
match.
Now hit it twice.
You'll have to use a foghorn if one of us gets out of control, right?
What'd you say, Mark?
You'll have to use a foghorn in case this gets out of control.
Okay. All right, Mark, you want to get started then? We're going to be talking about pre-inspection for tile and grout restoration. And why are we saying restoration, Mark?
Well, that's kind of what we do. I mean, taking dirt out of a carpet is restoring clean. So most people, when you hear the word restoration, they're thinking of what? The house got flooded, smoke damage, fire, hurricane. How about a flood? Yes, that's serious restoration work. But when we're daily working on people's homes, we're trying to restore their happiness of having a clean carpet, a clean upholstery, a clean now tile and grout. And so we're restoring it. Now, if we can just clean it and walk away, we've done that much of the restoration. But what else can we do? There's so many other things if we are willing to learn how to do other things, like missing grout, a scratched stone floor, a chipped tile, a cracked tile. If the homeowner's got,
You say cracked tile, Mark, I generally think of hairline fractures. I have some guys that say, "Oh well, look, when I clean the tile grout, the grout is dark. It's staying dark." And I said, "Well, maybe you didn't inspect it close enough. If it has cracks or hairline fractures in it, notice moisture gets up under it, stays dark." I said, "Look at it after you got it dry. Maybe put an air mover in one tile or one piece of grout. It dries out."
yeah.
Generally,
So yeah, and that's easy to understand. Any of you guys have been cleaning grout, you know that when the grout is wet still or damp or moist, it is a darker color. Just like the garden hose spring in the front sidewalk, it darkens. So never try to evaluate a floor until you've really got it started to dry, either by setting an air mover or whatever. So, but what we're talking about is the differential between clean grout that's still damp and dirty grout that's obviously still damp. And so you've got to cover all the bases. The tile is easy to clean. And why is that? Because most tile is glazed. It has a non-porous nature to it. It's the grout that is never non-porous unless it's epoxy grout. And epoxy grout is so uncommon. It's so not seen in a residential setting. It's what we see in food prep areas, hospitals, bakeries, because the yeast that's in the bread mixer will eat up cementitious grout and it'll just make it go away. So they use epoxy grout if they know what they're doing. So those grouts are non-porous. They're usually much more durable and enduring, but they're quite expensive. 400 square feet of epoxy grout will cost you almost $400. And you better know how to install it because it's very fast setting. You better know how to install it, tool it, and clean it up before it fully cures. But what we encounter is that cementitious stuff that's an eager sponge. Why is it a sponge? Because it's sandy. I got a piece here, sandy in texture, and it has complete porosity. So when you wet it with sugar, with oil, with urine, with coffee, wine, water, it's going to suck right in. And look how deep that grout joint is. It's as deep as the tile was thick. So we as cleaners can clean what's on a surface, but how do you clean what's in the surface? What's below the surface? This is not a sponge that I can rinse and wring out and squeeze and get all the grime out, emulsify all the sugar and oils, the urine, the vomit. I can't do that. I can only address the very surface of that grout. And here it is, about a little bigger than 1/8 of an inch wide. And that grout joint we can clean, but we're never going to make stains come out of that grout. So that's one aspect of trying to perform a clean and a full restoration. So I look at the word restore as being, I'm going to restore it, which means bring it back to some other place, like when it was new. I am proposing that we don't have to just bring it back to its new state, but we can actually make it a little different, a little better, and we can change the color by color sealing. So that's an option. If we don't want to color seal, the customer doesn't want to pay to color seal, what's your option? A penetrator, solvent sealer put on top. It's going to reduce porosity and make it less likely to absorb liquid spills. But you still have sandy texture here. So the optimal way, the premium way to protect a surface that's porous is put a coating on it. Coatings can go on sandstone. How many here have seen a job where it's fieldstone, flagstone, sandstone, or quartzite? It is extremely craggy. I've very rarely seen a honed, polished sandstone. They're out there. I have seen one. It's just very uncommon, and people buy sandstone for its rich Santa Fe Southwestern rustic character. which means I want to see the sand. I want to see the different levels on that same surface. I want it to be sandstone, but I want to mop it. I want to walk on it. I want to take care of it. And you have to put a coating on those kind of surfaces or you'll never be able to mop them. Rob, your mic is dead. At least I can't hear it. Your mouth's moving. Ask everybody if they can hear you. Can everybody hear you? Shake your head. I could be the odd guy out.
Still nothing? There we go.
Oh, there you are. What'd you do? What'd you hit?
The right button. My son told me to do.
No.
Thank goodness I got this, right? I guess messes him up.
You were trying to say something, so go ahead.
My son said, make sure you don't have your other microphone on. He said, it sounds like you have two microphones over there.
No, my other microphone I totally unplugged. I knew that could be a problem. So I unplugged it.
No problem.
Anyway,
I like that piece of grout you had there. That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, whenever I'm doing a demolition or someone's tearing out something, I grab it because it illustrates why grout is an issue. In fact, if we had really good resolution, I would be able to see, or you would be able to see, tiny little bubbles in the side of this. Little tiny pockets. That's your porosity. It is a cementitious material. It's pretty brittle. I could snap this real easily, but it's pretty tough. I can't take my fingernail and grind it. So this wasn't a fail only because the concrete slab cracked and the two tiles parted ways. They went different directions, and this guy's floating in there and had no reason to stay there. So we pulled it out. We regrouted. And that's the other part. We're pre-inspecting for problems. I think we covered this in the last. We have multiple reasons why we want to pre-inspect a floor. First, don't own a problem you didn't create. It's pre-existing. Why would you want to own something you never caused or had nothing to do with other than you discovered it? So discover it now before you start bringing in your gear, your equipment, your turbo, your spinners, your pressure. You want to find everything you possibly can so that when you do encounter it, it's not a surprise. Mrs. Jones saw all the problem areas and you've already discussed with her, what can you do about it? Just, well, I don't install tile, ma'am. I just clean it. So go find somebody. Well, that's like telling a guy who can repair carpet or should repair carpet because all he needs is some tools and some training, and he can stop walking away from $175 add-on to the cleaning job he's doing. There's a ripple in the carpet. Do you want to encounter that ripple every time you come back? Is there a weak seam that's starting to open up every time you come back to clean? You got to baby it and walk around it and hope your rotary or your wand doesn't catch it, and you hope you didn't hire a guy who doesn't know that job has a bad seam. All of the above, right? We've all encountered that. But by fixing it, before we wet it, why do we want to repair that seam before we start cleaning?
Right.
Because the hot glue will not bond to that damp carpet now. So fix it before you clean. But you don't know it's there until you do a pre-inspection. So hard surface tile, if it's a stone tile, remember, tile is tile. It's a piece of shaped hard object made of porcelain, ceramic, stone, which includes marble, travertine, onyx, limestone, sandstone, slate. Those are all tiles. What else is tiles? Aluminum, brass, copper.
Right.
Exactly. Those are tiles. They can be accents inside. I wish I'd pulled it up, but we did a job on the 7th floor of a high rise in Phoenix, and there was a black absolute granite hexagons all around, and right through the middle of that hex was a brass strip, a metal brass strip, right in the middle of it. I didn't make it. Somebody cut a saw mark in there that was just tight enough to slip that brass in there, and then use some kind of, who knows, epoxy to hold it in. Well, what's the problem here? What kind of cleaners would I use that could hurt the brass but won't hurt the stone? Acid. I don't want any acid on that. The brass will tarnish instantly. The bathrooms in the same suite had a mosaic tile with huge triangles all cut into a daisy wheel pattern about that big. And in the middle of every one of those daisies was a brass button the size of a pea. What are you going to do with that? Walk away or just say, that's brass, it's metal.
Right.
I can't be using a prep pad. I'll buff it and I'll scratch it. I can't use an acid, even if an acid would take care of another problem. I don't want collateral damage where I fix one problem and create another one. So pre-inspection will help us stay out of that hot water bath right there. So other examples of pre-inspection on tile. Oh, let me get to this example. What else is tile? Vinyl is tile, right? We had a sample last week of a luxury vinyl tile. This isn't a plank. This is a big 2 foot by 1 foot tile. And it's really hard, but it's vinyl.
The size of that thing too. What size is that, Mark?
2 foot by
24 inch?
2 by 1, 24 by 12. And it is a fake terrazzo. Little bits of stone put into a cement. It looks just like terrazzo. It's not glassy.
It's amazing what they can do now.
They're doing everything. I've seen boilerplate. Looks like a rusty plates from a ship. And that was each tile laid down on the floor. It was in an airport, in a gift shop. But we don't want to look at that and say, oh, that's stone. I've seen terrazzo before. No, it's touch it. Tap it with your fingers. It'll have a completely different sound than stone. And those are pre-inspection protocols. I developed.
Well, Mark, let's go a little more into pre-inspection. Let's go right down to the very brass knuckles. Let's get right to the very beginning. When you're walking inside the home, okay? Let's take it from the client to the floor, and then from there.
All right. So the grand entrance. This is where you meet and greet. Confidently, you're dressed the part, you're there, and you tell Mrs. Jones, I'd like to go through, and she tells you what her concerns are. You have to know what her concerns are, because her concerns may not be ones you discover that should be her concerns, but find out what they are first, because that's what she's paying you for. She really doesn't want to pay you for remodeling the house. She just wants her problems resolved. So meet and greet. Tell her I'm going to do a pre-inspection of all of these areas that you had concerns in, and we're going to walk through them. Now, you don't walk with her. And why is that? Because you're going to take a while, and you're going to lift up some area rugs, and you're going to poke around. You're going to get a sharp tool. I use a little penknife blade, and you're going to actually poke into her grout. Now,
and at what point do you ask them? I asked them pretty early on, do they have any extra tiling? You ever do that?
Yeah, especially if I am a little green or I don't know what's on the floor. I can now walk into a house standing
That's
and
true.
know that it's fake, real, man-made. But most of us are somewhere on that journey of being an expert,
Yeah.
being skilled. So, yeah. Do you have any
You're
more?
right. You're right. I don't ask that very often. I mean, but like you said, Mark, they've come so far with these imitation tiles that look like real stone. I mean, it's just stupid what they have done. I've walked in some of these tile shops, and I'm doing my best to see if I can figure it out and not look dumb in front of the people. I'm going all through them. I'm like, this is incredible what they've done. And then now you say they're adding vinyl on top of it. It's crazy.
This is a Carrara marble, right? No, it's porcelain.
Wow. Look at that. Look at the back of it.
It's a giveaway. And here's another one. This is also like a Carrara. It's a satin or a matte finish, but it's also porcelain.
But tap on that, Mark. I can hear it from here. Tap on it.
Look, I'll hold it up and listen to this.
See, I can hear it when you were just moving it. Yep. Mm-hmm. That giveaway.
So, but when it's on the floor, you can't hear a ring.
It's a little harder, but I don't know. For some reason, I can kind of, like you said, you get to the point where you can sense the difference.
Right. But when you're just stepping in, you need to know by touching it.
Right.
You're not only just trying to find out what it is. This looks like slate to me, right, guys?
Big time.
Looks like slate, but it's porcelain. Here's the giveaway points. Learn what the difference between rectified edge and pressed face tile. Here's the difference. This tile is a rectified edge tile. You don't have to have it off the ground. You don't have to have it in the garage. Just look down in the grout. And I don't know what the resolution is on this camera, but I'm going to
I
get
can
as
see it
close
pretty
as I
good.
can.
You're going through your.
This
Oh yeah, I can
this
see it
was
pretty good.
cut. This was cut on a saw right
Yeah.
here. Every
Mm,
corner. So this edge is sharp up and down. This edge is completely like it was cut. Where
right.
this tile has been put into a mold and the edge has a little bit of a pillow to it.
Well, that's because they're trying to copy that slate. You know, that slate look
Well,
because
slate, no, real slate has been cut on a saw too, but this particular finish is with a rolled. This is how they make
the
it.
roll. Right.
Rolled.
Right.
And to have to cut something after the fact is added labor, added machining costs, right? So
Right.
if I don't have to do it, and I can still pass this off as real, and you can see how thin it is. It's just less than a quarter of an inch thick, actually. Here's another tile. These are more for wall tiles. You'll never see this on a floor for a couple of reasons. This tile is extremely textured, extremely textured.
Right.
You can
That
see
would
my
catch all
fingernail
kinds of dirt
bounce
and
in it.
stuff. Right.
All right, that's for wall tile. But what
Like
if
a
it's a
backsplash or
backsplash?
something.
What if it's a
Mm-hmm.
backsplash behind a kitchen cooktop? Do you
Right.
think that's going to be a little hard to wipe with Mrs. Jones and her spick and span and her microfiber towel?
Absolutely. And
This
imagine all the cooking oils building up on that thing. But still,
exactly
it'd still be easier to clean than being on the floor if she's wiping it consistently. But
indeed.
still, you're right. It's still another opportunity that shouldn't be overlooked.
So when you look at the edge, it will tell you, and you got to get down close. These are pretty realistic. These look like they're rectified, that they've been cut, but that is a pressed face. This one is a pressed face, a very slight pillowed edge, very slight.
Mm.
So we just do our due diligence, check it out. If you touch it and it's cool and cold, it's going to be porcelain or stone. If you touch it and it's kind of not cold, it's plastic. Plastic
Okay,
doesn't
Mark.
fit
All right.
temperature.
All right. Okay. So we kind of got that. We're kind of now we're IDing from sight, from sound. And what about for checking for topicals? And what do you use to tap on it with if you're going to tap on the tile?
Well, when you're actually going to check for coatings, there's two ways. The first initial visual, and that's just again experience. You're going to look at it at an angle. I like to walk into a room and literally look at my long look angles. I want to look where a window at the dining room is. I walk at the entryway, and I'm going to just my eyes are going to shoot all over. I'm
And
looking for that
and
low
and
angle of
and
reflection.
do that drunken
Yeah,
cleaner thing. You know what I mean? Kind of
it's
the
called the
drunken.
drunken inspector. You're moving your head,
Exactly.
waving
Exactly.
back and forth like you don't know where to walk. This is a picture that Rob downloaded. It's do you see the shine and the long look angle? Why is
Yep.
this shiny here in a square? Is it only shiny there?
It's a window.
Well, that's where a window exists
Hmm.
way up here out of the picture on the
Right.
wall. And so that's what you're doing. You're letting this reflection tell you the story. And look what we found over here. A complete pool of what looks like water running out on the floor. Do you see that? That
Yeah. But
isn't
when you
water. That's an over
of the
application of
finish.
urethane.
Hmm.
It's a finish.
Or it's where the finish when he was trying to get the finish to take because obviously he didn't prep that floor properly. I saw that thread on truck mount
Exactly.
furniture.
All of this is
Yeah.
repelled. All these little
Terrible. And
that's just
I always preach. I don't care what floor you're working with. Prep is king. What is wrong with no offense to the
well,
cleaner who put that up there, but
you're making a fast buck. You want to go in, go out, but what are you really there for? Are you there to take their money or give them service? And they gladly pay you, and then tell their friends and everybody else about how great you treated them and how wonderful you restored their floors and grow your business.
or they're seeing somebody else online who is maybe making it look easy, but they've got some experience with it and they understand the nuances, but they don't realize they're just seeing a little encapsulation of what the person is doing. Like for instance, I'll give you for example. Today, one of my techs, he was doing an LVP strip. Okay, the lady's selling the house. It's a beautiful LVP plank, and you could see where the hardwood floor. The hardwood floor look. It was nice and matte under the rug where you moved the rug, but on the outside of it, you got to the right angle with the light, like you said, you could see the outline of the wax, and that's
Yep.
where she wanted gone. So we had to do it. Now let me get to the point here, Mark. We charged $2 square foot for that. He charged $1,200 to strip that. and he took his time. See, if you're charging enough and you take your time, do the proper work. That's the problem. If somebody's going for the hardwood floor in there, they're trying to make a fast buck and not doing it correctly, that's the result that somebody's going to get. Where he was there 6 hours today stripping that stuff off of there through 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a living room and a dining room. It took a little while, and that's just stripping it off there. And then as he's going along, he's looking at it, make sure he got all the wax off of it. Because even then, as you're moving along, sometimes there's more on it. Actually, what it was mop and glove. So anyway, I digress.
It's worse. It's worse than wax.
I have
Absolutely.
to agree with you. So he really took his time, really got it off there well. But the point is that you can identify those type of problems. Like if you walk in there and she said, well, I got wax or I got some kind of problem on my floor, you could see where the area rug laid and she didn't run the mop and glow under that, but you can see the whole square outline of it. And so when Matt was there cleaning some furniture, he suggested, hey, do you know I could get this even for you? Oh, okay. All right. So then he said he set it for another day, $1,200 job, $2 square foot he charged for it.
And
So
how can you get that kind of money out of a customer? It's simple. If you don't have built trust from the beginning,
yeah,
they're not going to pay you. You
have
to speak as if you know what you're doing. You can't, what is it they say? A customer can smell bull a mile away. Absolutely. If you're just trying to pass off that I'm a wizard, I know what I'm doing, and you really don't, people smell that. They can read it. You can't fake it.
And you know what the problem is too, Mark? I'd like to mention this. Some cleaners, I should say a lot of cleaners, buy into their own BS.
Well, you say something often enough, you begin to believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at this example here. This is kind of interesting. This is on your forum. Do you see this?
Yeah.
The poster talked about how there's haze on the tile, and it is grout haze that the construction or the contractor installing got on the tile. Now this is like the one I just showed you. It has a satin or a matte finish.
Is that epoxy? Is that epoxy?
It's either epoxy or it's one of the new polyurethane resins that have these gold exotic. They actually have glass bead inside.
Yeah, I wish I could see that from the top. I mean, from the side angle.
You mean reflecting? What do you mean the side angle?
Yeah, like if I was in the house, I would love to be able to see that.
Because we can't see the haze. He sees the haze, and he posted the pictures. There's the big long picture, but I don't have my reflection. So, guys, one of the most powerful tools you should be carrying with you is a flashlight, an LED flashlight. I carry this because it's kind of a non-directive beam. It's called a cob. These LEDs are all clustered together next to each other in a silicone. That's the lowest setting right there.
I like that, Mark. I need to get one like that. Mine's more of a direct beam. It works, but I like that.
I'm shining it in my screen, my monitor. You can see every one of those is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I think there's
check it out. Nifty.
14. I think there's 28. Anyway, that's
your
and that's the lowest brightness. There's the brightest. There's the lowest.
Mark, but anyway, get it off your screen. It shows you need to clean your screen.
See what light will do?
Sure will. It shows all those little imperfections.
It'll show that you're a pig, right? You're a sloppy housekeeper. When I talk, I spittle.
Anyway. That's disgusting. Thanks a lot.
A light is essential because you can use it like a gun sight. You can walk around like that drunken sailor, walk around with your nose just behind the light, and you can see things she has never known is there, like acid etches. If you had a bathroom with a vanity, and along the vanity are some etches from putting the wrong drinks or chemicals or cosmetics or pharmaceuticals that etch the countertop, she doesn't see it as well as you can. And you'll do a scratch test by running your fingernails across that slab and say, yep, that's pretty deep etch. Now you'll know how much time you're going to invest in polishing that with the right media. So when you get proficient down the road or you want to get into it, we'll be covering this in the training. And that's the use of hard resin pads or dip pads even.
By the way, Mark, I'd like, since you mentioned training, I want to let everybody know we will be having our hard surface class in May. Mark and I have not came up with the exact day, but it will be in May. It's a limited class. We're going to be covering tile. We'll be covering stone, polishing, cleaning, hardwood floors, LVP, LVT, rubber floors, countertops, all hard surfaces we're going to be covering. So if you want to be part of that class, there's only a limited number we're going to have. So you either get in touch with myself or Mark as soon as possible. Mark,
Shower glass, shower
shower.
glass
Let's go.
restoration also.
Let's go back to that floor for a second, Mark. Okay. All right. So now you got the haze on there. Now most guys are automatically going to go ahead and go to an acid or a haze remover and pop it on there. But you're
Which
telling me that's
will
a natural stone?
No, that's not. First, you better know it could have been natural stone.
There you go.
From the
Exactly.
close up picture, I'd want to find out if it was. Why? Because I don't want to own it by etching it. Here's
Right.
where I'm going to look. See how it's got a pillowed edge on the
Yes.
corners? Shiny. See how that shines just right there? I can identify that without even getting on my all fours, just by
You
using my
mean
flashlight.
like it's got a picture frame look to it.
No, it's a pillowed,
I know,
curved edge.
but it's causing a picture frame glow on the
Oh
outside.
yeah,
So you can tell.
it's picture
Mhm.
frame glare.
Yes.
Exactly. There's one over there.
And so that's how you know it's not real.
Right, because real stone doesn't do that.
Exactly.
All right. So I don't have to get down and do a scratch test, hardness test, acid test. There's one for you. I remember Bridgepoint Systems in their training manual said the scratch test and the acid test. Really? I'm going to go ahead and pour acid or a drip of acid, I don't care how small it is, and damage her floor just to identify whether it's marble or not.
Well, and that's what they taught, Mark. I remember
I
doing that.
know, and it doesn't make a lick of sense.
I remember climbing under countertops or under, like, yeah, countertops, like, they had a chair where you had, like, a computer area. I
Yeah,
get up
look
under there.
underneath. Right.
But I get up in that corner when I was new at this, and I would be scratching, and I would be, try to put some acid on there. I'm going like, because I
Well,
didn't want
well,
the customer to
and
feel where it was gonna be.
actually, all you needed to do was look at it. The bottom of a slab that's quartz or other than natural stone doesn't have, you know, the visual that it is. They'll put fiberglass reinforced resin on the back of a slab of granite.
But that was
Uh,
10 years ago. Like I'm saying,
no,
it's 10 years ago.
yeah,
We've
yeah,
come a long way since then.
yeah.
I remember those courses. Just kinda wanna interject that.
So,
Go ahead.
but we're all working still. We either remember our lesson that we saw or were taught at that class, and we still do it. I don't know why. If we can identify something visual, then we take it to the next level. But you certainly don't start scratching their floor just to identify whether it's soft stone or not. Because who's going to fix it? You. You know, here is a natural stone right here. It's a marble, a rojo. It's got a beautiful reddish cast, and there's the other side. There's the edge grain. You know, it's clearly you can see. Well, you don't have the luxury of looking under the tile if it's installed, but you look around at edges and corners, and maybe there's a step or a step down into a sunken living room. You can always examine edges and
And one
identify.
thing, Mark, one thing we have in our area you don't have in your area is a lot of our homes, especially the earlier homes, are on crawl spaces. So all you gotta do is go over to an air conditioned duct vent
Oh, beautiful!
and just
Lift
pick
out
it
that
right up
vent
and look
and
right
look.
up, look at the side of it. That's you could do that with hardwood floors too. That's another thing too. We're also gonna be doing, and that way you tell if it's engineered, we're gonna be doing engineered floors and other hardwoods too, just so people know.
Engineered wood
Laminate.
is almost mysterious because it has its own character. It's not the same as laminate. It is a lamination of real wood on top of MDF or plywood, and it's also being laminated to, listen to this, vinyl. They are putting a skim thin coat of real hardwood on top of waterproof vinyl. I have a whole little network sample of stuff that I've been pulling out from the manufacturers, from design centers, and when
It's
I saw
insane.
that, about dropped my jaw. I go, I've
I know.
never ever seen that. This is a
Mark,
new concept.
I don't put nothing across them anymore. So like you said, that makes ID even more important, and that's why we're talking about this, that pre-inspection. You need to do your due diligence up early so it doesn't bite you later. Is that
Right.
something?
And you don't just get, what does fear do but cause us to turn tail and run? Well,
Right.
fear isn't a good thing. Fear doesn't earn you any more money. Yeah, it keeps you out of trouble, but it keeps you from earning money. Keeps you from gaining more confidence. So this is MDF laminate. There's a little bit of Luan or some other kind of wood on the back, but in the middle is that fiber paper crap called MDF. What does
Right.
MDF stand for, Rob?
Micro density fiber.
Medium.
Medium density fiber,
I'm
yeah.
sure they
Sorry.
have I'm sure they have a micro density fiber. I'll bet they do, but I don't think they want to
And
press it.
I've seen so many people on truck mount forums, they don't check their baseboards because a lot of these baseboards are being made out of it now, and these guys are having swell up all over the place, and they're just sloppy too on top of it. But you really
Now,
need to take time to
now
check
that's another
for
pre-inspection. What? Does it
inspection
have
area.
anything to do with what you're there to do? No, but it has everything to do with whether you're going to confidently
But she's going to
get
hold
through
you
the job.
responsible for it, and that's just tile and
Exactly.
grout cleaning,
It,
especially
it
newer
it
homes.
has everything to do with tile and grout cleaning. Exactly.
How
So,
long has that been out,
Maria,
Mark? Would you say the MDF for baseboards? It
yeah,
seems like a
medium.
recent phenomenon, right?
Well, it actually is. Oh, don't tell me my battery says it's low. That sucks.
Uh oh,
Hold
can
on.
you plug it in?
I can plug it in. Watch me.
Okay.
I have the power.
Yeah, Mark, because you really want to. Yeah, I don't think it's only been the last 5 years or so that I think that I've come across MDF, and it's still a rare occurrence.
No, you would be shocked. Go to Home Depot. You will not find any. It'll be hard to find fir or yeah, Douglas fir or pine. It's a premium. It'll cost you a little more money to buy. Um,
So, are you saying almost all new homes are being built with MDF now?
Absolutely, I'm talking high-end homes.
Wow.
I'm embarrassed for the industry, frankly. I just
Oh,
can't
Mark,
understand
no,
how
I'm kind of embarrassed for our country. I mean, our
yeah.
quality, they're kind of. I feel like we're being herded in, like cattle or chickens, or into smaller homes and cheaper homes. The quality's just gone down so far, it's sad, and they'll take any shortcut they can to make profit. I mean, just look at carpet. Look at the carpet mill shutting down half their mills and switching them over to LVT and LVP because it's so profitable. So,
Well, you're taking a scrap waste wood from an industry who doesn't know what else to do with it except put it in a compost pile. You're
right.
putting resins and glues with it, and then you're going to compress it into something usable, but it's trash.
Well, what's
Uh,
polyester carpet made from, Mark?
Recycled pop bottles.
Tops. Well, actually, mostly bottle tops is what they said there when I did my tour. But that's crazy. So if you can get that stuff for free, like they're getting it, why are they going to? And I hate to say it, Mark, but and I just want to interject this, and then we won't go down this lane too much because that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But really, these hedge fund companies, these investment firms, they are like BlackRock and Vanguard. They're buying up all the companies, and then it becomes a corporate board issue, and all they care about is the profits. So what they're doing is they're lowering the quality while raising the prices to keep their shareholders happy or their CEOs. So that's the problem we're running into. So all these little nuances are mostly being caused because of greed. And so that's why we have to be more aware and more astute these days than we've ever had to be in the past. So we could walk in and, knock out a carpet, knock out a tile, knock out a stone with no problem. But now the whole landscape has changed.
Well,
Mm.
add to this problem the fact that they are buying more homes and we are becoming renters. They're massively buying huge tracts. They're targeting the Sun Belt. We're talking California, Arizona, and they're
Florida
buying
too.
tens of
Yep.
thousands of homes, anticipating that people are going to need a place to live. They're moving from other parts of the country where their crime is high, and so realize that your area could shrink or it could grow. Are you ready to provide the services, and are you willing to talk to a management company now, not the owner, a
Hmm.
management company? Let me tell
Yep.
you what happened on a job that I pre-inspected, but it wasn't my concern because I'm cleaning a sofa. The people I've cleaned once before, they're in this rental home while they're building their new home. Nice home they're renting. Beautiful engineered wood floor, hand scraped. Where it has that slightly, it's not a
Yeah.
flat floor. It's got that
You don't see that
scrape.
very often. Hmm.
And there was, I'm set up for the sofa. I'm starting to bring my hoses in. I'm looking at the condition. It's backs, bottoms, throws. It's like cleaning three sofas because there was so much to clean. It was all dirty. Four kids, a couple of dogs,
Been
and
there,
so
done
dirty.
that.
And
Mm.
so I'm looking at the floor around it, and it's this wood engineered floor. I don't really worry about water on an urethane engineered wood floor. I don't. If a little spray goes over, I wipe it up. I don't.
Right.
I don't put a trucker's tarp over the whole floor. I know some guys say, "Oh, you're being foolish. You're not showing the customer that you care." I'm just not that anal.
We
Is
do
it
roll
right?
out floor protector in most situations because you
Yeah.
also got other concerns. You know, you're dragging hoses and fittings and things of that nature.
And the hot
And
hose is vibrating and oscillating. Yeah.
and it is a good positive moment of truth, you know, so and
And
that separates
it
you from
does look
somebody
good
else.
to the customer.
Alright, so
Well,
get to the point about the floor,
well,
the
so
engineered floor.
I am pre-spraying, and I noticed I asked her to come over. You know, somebody put floor wax on this wood, and she goes, "Well, yeah, we noticed why there's scratches here and there that we really didn't know we did." But
Was it
so the
turning
management
milky on you?
company is sending her a bill for $1,100 to refinish, quote unquote, the floor because it was damaged. And she's calling me saying, Mark, you brought up, I had actually told her, hey, the management company, if they'd like me to look at getting this gooey, ridiculous, improperly applied wax off this floor, have them contact me. Well, guess what? They contacted her and said, we're going to charge you part of your deposit for us to come in and repair the damage you did.
Wow,
Really? To a
wow.
waxed floor that shouldn't have been put on in the first place? So again, I she said, Mark,
Did you write her a
your
letter?
hot water damaged this floor. So she's become a little on the hostile side because
Mm.
she thinks I damaged her floor. When I brought up the fact that all around the whole floor in that family room, dining room is scratched easily because
Did you
it's
put
not
that in
meant
your
to.
CRM, Mark? 'Cause I would've put that in my CRM, my House Call Pro, in a
Yeah.
heartbeat. I'd have recorded that, and that way when she signed off on it, she knows it's there.
Yep. So that's part of pre-inspection. I'm just cleaning sofas today. Well, yeah, but you're
Well,
walking
Mark,
over and putting it over
did
a
it
floor.
turn milky on you? Because you know, if
No,
you get
that's
well,
what's weird. It was probably it was actually a better quality wax, but I don't care how quality the wax. You guys may not know this. Why do you screen and then recoat? And when you recoat, what are you recoating with? You are screening to bite into the surface of a polyurethane wood floor finish for the purpose of opening up open bite points for the new coating of polyurethane. Polyurethane will not stick to itself. People think, oh, yeah, of course it's a like product. It's the same product. Of course it'll stick to itself. Absolutely not. Polyurethane will not bond to itself without that prep process of screening. Now they call it screening because it's a literally a screen. It used to be used, a sandpaper screen of carbide grit.
now
But
they
you
call
can
it now
now
they
you
call
can
it
use
puffin recoat with
a
a prep pad or something like that,
right.
exactly. It's
A
not as
prep pad.
intrusive.
A prep pad is a maroon version of the old Scotch pad, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yep,
Mhm.
real thin,
A lot
very
of people don't
abrasive.
know that. That's a good
This
observation, Mark.
this will scratch glass. You don't rub this on a shower glass to take soap scum off, but how many maid services have done just that?
Right.
It works. It takes all the scale off. And
Of
then you
course.
look at it when the light shines and you see all this frosting that was created by this beast. This will scratch porcelain in the toilet. Do not the maid service do it all the time. They scrub the toilets with this and they wonder why the toilets get dirty faster because they just
Yeah.
scratch the crud out of that porcelain. These are not meant for
Not like they
any.
put a finish on the toilet. Right, exactly.
Yeah, you ruined it. So that's why pre-inspection just keeps you on the up and up. It's part of the protocol. So now I call Mrs. Jones back after I've had time in her house, walking everything. Obviously, she doesn't trust it. She'll follow you. I'm going into the closets. I'm going to the bedroom. I'm going to open the jewel box and stuff my pockets, right? So she's maybe worried that you're a new guy and you don't know her. She doesn't know you. But I try to bring that confidence, that ease by telling her we've been in business 35 years. We do this. We've done this. We've been here in the valley this long. So I introduce myself in a warm and cordial way with confidence. So now she should be trusting, but I'm going to bring her back and we're going to circle the wagons and say, now everything looks pretty good, but I did find a few things. So it isn't perfect or I wouldn't be there. Yes, ma'am, your carpet's dirty. Your tile's dirty.
Somebody said it, Mark, that they use that, you know, the, Scott's what do you call it? Scott's pad? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, the Scotch Brite
That's
3M
basically what we
Scotch.
call them. Exactly, yeah. Somebody said, it doesn't say who it is 'cause I think they're coming from a private Facebook group. It says, "I did it on my countertop and messed it up." So I just asked him what type of material, what type of surface does he have on his countertop? We'll find out. But if it's stone, he could polish that out of there.
Yeah, if you've made an error with stone, you can polish it. In fact, my countertops are polished porcelain, so they are as shiny as this piece.
And you're saying, from what I learned from you last week, you could actually fix that too, correct?
I use these exact pads to finish mine. I use number 3, which is the finest, highest
Mm.
shine grit.
Wow.
It's a process, and you do
But
it.
if you did that on the floor, that would make a floor more slippery. So then you have another danger.
Slippery, depending on what you're going to finish out at. It's hard to describe it, but there's a thing called hydroplaning. We all relate to that because we got our tires, they're a little bald, we got rain, the roads are slick. So
Yeah.
I could hydroplane if I go into a turn too fast, or I'm going too high speed, or I'm putting on my brakes and I don't have ABS. You'll hydroplane. Well,
He said his countertop was laminate.
which means Formica or similar
Exactly.
brand product.
Wow.
And what
Mhm.
that is a photographic image of whatever, leather, stone, whatever. It has a certain texture. Formica can be glassy and slick. It can be matte. It can be pebbled. It can even be as textured as uh, this faux
Yeah.
slate back here. So Formica's been competing and trying to stay alive all these years, because why buy Formica when you can have real quartz or real
Or
stone or
quartzite.
real
Quartzite's
porcelain?
become very popular now, right?
Exactly. So they're just having to make their stuff look better and better and better. And you don't want cornered edges. You want the bullnose that wraps. You want an ogie, which is kind of a profile like this. So Formica, has lived.
Across
They've
the
been
street from
king
my
for years.
across the street from my shop here, Mark, they build countertops, and it's almost all Formica and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
you'd be surprised some of the stuff they've done. They do them for like RVs. Even my RV
right.
looks great. It's amazing what they
So
can do.
you're taking a stain out. And what could a stain be in a surface like Formica? It could be a burn from a hot pot. It could be some weird solvent or an attacking solvent glue, and you're trying to sand it off. That's what Scotch pads do. They are sandpaper. It is
Yeah.
not a scrub pad. It is sandpaper. So
Rub
you
your
chemically
rub your
approach.
fingernail across that, Mark, and let's hear it in front of the phone.
What? You really can't. I mean,
Yeah.
what I do for this is I rub the back of my thumbnail and show you how I just dulled the crap out of my thumbnail. I
Yeah.
don't know. There's not good resolution here, but
That's a good way to
that's
do it. That's a good
the
illustration to use with a client.
the
I
good
like that.
illustration is put it on a piece of clear glass, rub it real hard, and then I hold it up and say,
Yeah,
"See
but
how I just got frosted right here?"
you're not
That's
trying to ruin a piece of glass at a customer's house.
no, absolutely. So stainless steel, same thing. How many people run those on a stainless steel trying to
Con
get what? A piece of tape adhesive off the stainless steel face of the fridge. That's Molly May trying to take that tape off. Well, duh. What would take tape off? Come on, every one of you would answer correctly. A solvent,
citrus
goof
salt
off,
for sure. Heart.
anything, hog, pig. It'll take it right off without doing any
Okay, Mark.
collateral damage.
Let's circle back. Okay, let's circle back. You've come in. We're going back to you're showing up to the home. You've already talked to the client. You know what? Let's even go back a little further because it's about pre-inspection. The customer calls up. I've got a floor. I just moved inside this
Uh,
home. It's
I
got
know where you're
issues.
going. Yeah.
Right, right. How would you break it down on the
So
phone
here
call?
we don't. Here's the reason they're calling. They want to know: A, do you do this service? B, what do you charge? Right? Everybody wants to know. I don't want to call you out if you cost a fortune. My marketing's been a little different. I come pre-qualified. Everybody is referred by somebody who is my raving fan. So I'm not there to give them a quote. That's how I've built my company. But not all of us market that way. We're here to give a
Or have
quote.
been around as long as we have.
Yeah. So I'm going to give a quote, but before I give a quote, I got to do that pre-inspection. So Mrs. Jones, just to give you a ballpark, you guys heard of this one? A ballpark. Can you send me some photos and tell me what your main concern? I want to see close up, not a standing room shot. Same
Yeah.
with you guys. If you guys want something diagnosed by the whoever, one of us,
A Facebook group, especially, please get the pictures
please.
right. Tell them how to do the pictures,
I
Mark.
want you to get down on your little Nebo. I want you to get down there and seriously go 10 inches away. If it's too dark, then turn on your little flash. It's a setting. Turn on the flash. I cannot tell what you're doing if you're standing up, and then I zoom in on the picture because it gets grainy as crap. Looks like Roblox or Lego. I can't see what you've got. So if you can just get 2 or 3 photos of the worst place. Now, you might not be there. She wants a quote. And you go, oh, this looks weird. I don't even know what that is. Tell her. You're the voice. You tell her. Can you take a picture, get down really low, right down there, 12 inches away, and make sure in the camera, before it goes out of focus, the closer the better,
Yeah.
Give me your worst shot. Tell me what you got. Oh, I got grout with black stuff in it. I got calcium in the shower. I've got stain grout in the kitchen. I want to see that. And then take one more picture, Mrs. Jones, of your pantry closet tile. Why? Because I want to
Yeah.
see the best and the worst. Why am I doing that? I want to see the comparison. I want to know what she wants done and what we're going to bring it back to in the level of clean. So now I can give her a ballpark because I know what her tile is. I know just from the picture, I can tell you if it's natural stone. Because you ask a customer, ma'am, do you know what kind of tile it is? No, I just bought the house. I know nothing. And you don't get mad at her. She just doesn't know what it is.
You
What
know,
do you
that's
got
how
there?
somebody sends me a picture. I get text messages every single day. They send me
Yeah.
this
And
picture
if
right
I
here, you
try to
know?
zoom in on
And
that
he said, "Look,"
picture,
he said, "It's not cleaning up. It's hazing up on him." I'm going like, "I need some
yep,
better picture and some better
yep.
lighting than that."
Well,
You know,
I
I don't know
remember
what
this one
I'm
because the
thinking.
next picture from that shows all kinds of streaky mottled splotchiness. And
There
I
you
could
go.
put money, on that, that is one of
It's
those
little micro
textured,
pores,
micro textured tiles. And
micro
no one's
texture.
cleaning
Okay, I
it.
call them micro pores. Yes, that's what I told him.
And
And
so
I told him he needs
wherever
to
the
switch over to like BioPro with an enzyme and see if that doesn't pop it out of there for him. And then, here, Mark, here's the problem. These guys don't understand and they're not doing micro test. They'll
yeah,
just go right in and just throw their product down on it and expect it to
yeah,
work.
they're
Explain
spraying
what
the whole
explain what
floor
a micro
thinking,
test is. Okay, so now we've done broken down the customer. We're asking them for the pictures. We're going to walk all the way through this, Mark, through the whole pre-inspection.
all right,
Okay,
let me
so
take it to the next level. We're going to then take that punch list because that's what you're building. When you do the walkthrough, I have 9 points, and you can build a
yeah,
form. We'll give it to you. Just it's a form on the back of your invoice. I don't care what it is. Copy them on the printer. Just have them. They're on your clipboard. You walk through and don't forget a thing. What's the condition of the grout? Is it hard? Does it cave in? Are there hairline cracks? And you build that punch list. Everything you can find out. Knock on a few tiles that have a missing grout next to it or has a hairline crack. That's chances are the slab has cracked. It has moved
it's
out
settled. Mm-hmm.
or lifted or tilted or slid, or all of these things happen to slabs. The tile can't hold it together. It is not meant to keep the slab from moving. So it's
Mm-mm.
going to separate at the grout. And when you knock on that tile next to that, I could put money on it. I would tell the customer, Mr. Jones, right here's likely hollow. I've never been in the house in my life, and I knock on it, and sure as shooting ducks in a bucket, there is hollow tile. And all that does is tell the customer, man, you know your stuff. You're a tile whisperer. you're
Or
like,
stone
ooh,
whisperer, right? Exactly.
you're weird. Actually, my hobby is gardening, not talking to tile. But anyway, you're gaining credibility and you're diagnosing the problem. So now that you've gathered all this data, you're going through that punch list. What is assigned to every one of those things as a fix? A price. You have time invested. You have a chemical, you have a repair product, you have time. You're going to fix all these problems, and you get that list started next to it. Well, not to blow her away, but when you add it all up, it's a chunky little ticket, right?
And you can justify it because she can see it
Yeah,
itemized.
yeah. You're not
And she can
blowing
pick the things
smoke.
she wants to take care of. Exactly, exactly. You're showing her legitimate things because you're the consummate professional. That's what's getting missed by a lot of guys. Like I said, Mark, they're just going in there, spraying product on it, cleaning it, and expecting it to be perfect. And
And
sometimes
then
you get away with that.
they
It's
step
rare.
back and go, oh, gee, there's some
Yeah.
problems hiding under that dirt. Don't let that happen to you because it makes you look inept. And then you start chasing backwards. It's called backpedaling and trying to save your bacon and saying, well, I didn't do that, ma'am. Well, you're using 12,000 PS. No, you're using so much PSI, you blew the grout out, ma'am. The grout was already soft. Believe me, I've been doing this a while. Well,
And it was missing some, but you didn't take pictures. You didn't bring it to her attention. You didn't
yeah,
pre-set those expectation levels.
all
You
you're
paid the
doing
price.
is you're taking a defensive posture instead of an intelligent
And Mark,
positive.
are you familiar, Mark, with hyper awareness?
Yeah, it can be damaging, but yeah.
I'm just saying. So after you clean anything for a woman or a man, they become hyper aware of everything, things they didn't see before. You know, every little piece of grout missing,
Yeah,
every little stain on a
you know
carpet.
how I call this? I go once you once the customer uh, becomes concerned about little things, they start bringing out the microscope and find everything.
Yes.
And that's what you don't want to start happening because it just begins because now you're on the defensive, so they're going to be on the offensive. All
Okay.
right.
All right, Mark. All right, Mark. We've gone through the phone call.
Okay,
You've done
so
comfortable with that pre-inspection list. Let's talk about microtesting. Because
well,
every time I mention
microtesting is
microtest,
actually
people
part of
get
the
lost.
pre-inspection. It's part of the
I know,
pre-inspection.
but explain what it is, because I'm telling you, every time I mention to a customer or a cleaner calls in or texts me or writes in from Facebook or something like that, or YouTube, or through our email support team, they're like clueless when I mention microtesting. As a matter of fact, I made a video last week on how to microtest an
Right.
LVP, so I'll give them an idea. But go ahead and just break it down in the simplest terms. What would you consider microtesting, Mark?
Okay, microtesting is simply go to your worst area, the middle of the kitchen, whatever the worst grout joint, worst uh, coating. If it's got a coating on the tile, if it's grout haze, I don't care what it is. Go there, bring out what you believe is the solution, the chemical, the tool. Is it a brush? Is it a stainless steel brush? Is it a plastic brush? Is it a melamine pad? Is whatever it is, bring a little one and just put a drip on that. If you're testing against uh, you're going to use a strong cleaner, but it might have acid in it. You know your products first, of course, but go in there and put a drip, let it dwell, agitate it with the tip of your finger or the tiny end of the grout brush, and microfiber it off. Microfiber is wonderful. It in a very molecular way. That's why it's called microfiber. These little filaments will go down and make better connection with the surface than any mop ever made, any scrubber ever made. And so you're going to move it and retrieve it. And what you see, if the results are pleasing to you, they'll be pleasing to the customer. Don't put 8 gallons of spray the whole room and say, I'm going to try this. Not only did you waste your time, you wasted some product that wasn't suited for it, and you wasted, you look even more lame. It's like, oh,
Plus,
you
you
don't
can
know what you're
upset
doing.
the customer by doing a large area, and she got this big old spot sitting out there. They don't like
Right.
that. You know what
And
I
what
mean?
if, now the chelates, this is a term that not many people understand, but a chelated cleaner, a chelate is a chemical that mimics the effect of a softener, of a water softener.
Right.
It makes the water penetrate. A chelate can be found in some chemical formulas, some pre-sprays. I remember a large franchise group was using some product they had kind of private labeled and custom formulated. And it was in Texas. They got their chemicals from a Texas formulator, and it worked great on cleaning carpet, and it worked great on cleaning tile. But when they put this pre-spray onto a carpet and walked across it with what? Booties,
I
which
know what
is
happened.
the
Mhm.
booties were little absorbing little mops. They
Yep.
picked up the
Mhm.
pre-spray and they walked back out to their truck, took
There's some
off the booties.
footprints.
They didn't get them dirty, but what was that chemical doing to that polished marble floor?
Chelating it the whole time.
It chelated, and the effect of a chelate on a
Chelate.
ultra shiny marble is like it was an acid. It
Right.
dissolved. What does soft water do? Why don't we fill our swimming pools with soft water? Just a wild guess, guys. Why don't we fill our swimming pools with reverse osmosis pure water? Because it will eat the plaster as if it were acid. There's no minerals in the water. It is stripping the minerals. What is cement made of? What is grout made of? What is quartz? What is marble? What is travertine made of? What is onyx made of? Minerals, and they're calcium. Our bones and our teeth, our fingernails is calcium.
So you're saying it's extracting it because there's nothing in the water filling it
It's
up.
etching or softening just the surface, and then when it no longer can etch, it's because the stone. You guys remember the science fair class, the volcano made from baking soda and vinegar?
Yep. Who
When
can't?
did the volcano quit erupting? When the baking soda ran out of vinegar, or the vinegar had no more baking soda to react with. It reached equilibrium, neutral. Okay, that's when um, marble and travertine stops etching, when the darn acid is now dead. But it did its damage, and then you clean it off, or she mops it, and she goes, "Whoa! All these areas look like the shape of Lithuania." Well, that's where the dog threw up.
Right. Right.
That's where the drizzle happened. The bag that was drug out to the garbage can had a leak in it, and it had a broken wine glass full of wine. And again, these scenarios over 35 years, I've seen them all. I've heard them all. So pre-inspect. You know what's wrong. Now you're at that point where she's going to get blown away by your quote. Well, guess what? you're giving her everything in a line item, and when she says, "Oh my gosh, all these things, I can't possibly afford. That's just too much. I know it all needs it because you illustrated and demonstrated what it is that's wrong."
But you've also built the value. You know, I remember, I never was a door-to-door Kirby salesman, but I worked in their stores as a repairman and repairing them and stuff like that, right? But I remember that the Kirby salesman would not tell people the price of what they were doing until after they did the whole demonstration, because the demonstration built the value and then it softened the price. So they didn't
Right.
care about
They,
the
what
$1,500
can they
price
do?
item.
What can a Kirby do? Man, they had a vibrator test. You could sand, you could
Cut
vibrate the back.
hair,
It had,
cut
yeah, it
you can
had
cut hair, you could shampoo carpets.
a
That's what I
shampoo
started off with, Kirby
attachment.
shampoo and
They had a
carpet.
Christmas tree flocking attachment. Did you know that?
A Christmas
Did
tree
you
what?
know that? Flocker, where you turn the tree white with fake flock, fake snow.
No, I
Look it
don't
up.
remember that.
Look it up. It
Hmm,
was an
I'll
attachment.
have to.
They had they
Mark, I've
had
seen it all. I worked in there for a
they've
good 10
had
years.
they've had sanders and jigsaw
They had the
attachments.
sanders, they
Uh,
had the
yep,
cutters. We had
yep.
that back in the day.
And
Oh,
then
I also, it had a felt pad you could snap onto the bottom of it, go across your hardwood floors.
you had to
That's
polish it.
pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Mhm, trying to
So
think of things I had.
and then when they did that black t-shirt test on the mattress, what were they doing? They grossed the crap out of you. That was the closer.
Yep.
What did they
Well,
do?
what really closed was they took the bag assembly off, and they had this little clear glass where you put these white little pads on it.
No, you put black ones.
Well, they had, but we used white. They had white and
Oh yeah,
black, but
yeah, yeah.
either one, because the white showed a whole, when you took it out of there, you saw the whole black ring sitting off. The white still on the outside
Yeah,
because that kind
yeah,
of
it
thing.
was a disc
Yes,
of, and
yes.
that was after she vacuumed her floor 3 times. Remember
And you know
that?
what? Mark? This is what people don't know, and this was a trick that Kirby. As I realized as time went on, no matter how many times you vacuum your carpet, you get dirt out of it.
Yeah, you can
You
never
know?
completely eradicate. So she did all the bulk out, and he had the
Right.
easy job with
Yes.
with a very porous vacuum as a t-shirt.
And plus, it doesn't take much dirt on that little white pad to make it look dirty. Kind of like taking a half a teaspoon of dirt and putting it in a glass of water. When
Yeah,
you stir
drink
it
it
up,
here.
it looks dark. So,
It's only barely dirty.
but still the whole point is they built the value. So that's what you've done. You've gone through with your education, with your knowledge, with your pre-inspection, with your micro test. And now you've done built the value, and with this line items to bring it over to her. Okay, go tell me, Mark. How do you
Okay,
close a job like that?
here's how we
She
close it.
said, "Oh,
So
wow, that's a whole lot more than I thought." Go ahead.
right. So what we're going to do is the meat of what we're there to do was to clean and repair. And in my case, I like to color seal. Maybe you're going to put on a coating. Maybe the floor needs to be resealed or
Or a
sealed with
clear
a
seal.
restorative
Mhm.
coating, a clear seal.
Right.
So what we're going to do is, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do all of these things, no charge, but you're still going to, what could I do? I could say, all right, you're broke, you're poor lady. I'm going to take all those things off so you can afford to do just what I had on this side.
Well,
That's like saying,
what's the incentive? Are you saying that, okay, so let me get this right. So you're saying, I'll clean it if you'll seal it, but I'll only seal it if you have, and I'll do all these things for you. So that way you're making the money inside of the ceiling. Is that what I'm
but
gathering from?
I've already quoted her the ceiling. She was blown by the total. But if you're saying, I'm going to give you all this value added service, but I'm going to then throw in this
Mm,
other complete list. What is it? The cheap stuff, the stuff that doesn't cost me hardly any time or money, no
gotcha.
materials, all the repairs. She looks at her
Nifty
repairs to me
grout,
horribly
back grout.
complicated.
You're going to take care of all that.
I'm going to fix all the grout crack. I'm going to fix some chip tile. It's going to take me 20 minutes to do the grout repairs. It's going to take me 10 minutes to do cracked and chip tiles. She's been staring at them for years,
I
and you're
like
going to
that, Mark.
save it.
I like that a lot.
That's how I close 97% of every one of the jobs we walk into with a completed job. That's what I came for. And that's, I'm going to color seal it. Why do I want to push something that she's never heard of? 90% of everybody's never heard of what color seal is. Let me tell you what, I had a guy who we sold a kit to. I called back later and said, hey, haven't heard from you in a while. I just checking on you. Most of our customers call me every month with thousands of dollars of reorder product. And
I
he
just
said,
saw it.
well,
You see the guy who put it online? I just saw it in the TMF Buy Sell Trade page. Some guy was selling his starter kit. He said there's not a
Really?
market. Yeah, he said there's not a market in my area, and I'm going like, no, you didn't
That's
market
like
it in
saying
your area.
yeah, that's like saying there's no tile in my area. I've been to
Exactly.
Washington, I've been back east. There's tile everywhere. It's not abundant in homes. In the South might be you guys that are on here in the South, do you see a lot more wood floor, carpets, and area rugs and almost no tile, ceramic in a house?
Yeah, I
Chime
would
in and
say,
let us know.
you know,
It's because
I'm
it's
not in the deep
traditionally a
South, but
wood
I am in
floor
the South, so
region.
to speak,
Yeah.
in
But
Virginia,
you go to the mall, you go to banks, you go to hotels, there's acres of
everywhere.
tile. You just got to go find it. I use this analogy. If you're complaining that there's no market for it or the customers don't ask me, are you kidding? They don't know what it is. Why would a
Mm.
customer ask you to color seal their grout when they don't even know that you can? They don't know what 90% of my customers have no clue
I
we
am
can do this.
surprised, Mark, how many guys aren't cleaning tile and grout.
Yeah, they
And
don't
then
clean it. They're
yep, and
just
then
starting into it.
right, or no, and then to top it off, how many won't even tackle LVT and LVP? Such a
It's
simple for to clean,
it's it's too scary though. They don't know what it is
but have such
because
a
there's
simple for 'em.
laminate out there that's precursor that's messed with us, messed with our
Yeah,
heads.
mess
If
with
we
it.
don't understand the difference, that's why pre-inspection, doing the touching, doing the knocking, doing the fingernail tapping, they all tell you things. We're going to cover that in the class. So the more confident you are, the more apt you
Now
are.
that you brought that up again, let's say that, guys. In May, Mark and I will be having a class at the TMF location here in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Chesapeake, Virginia. And let's give them an idea, Mark, of what we're going to be going through on that class. Let's give them a little rundown. It's going to be in May.
Comprehensive.
We just haven't come up with the exact date of May, but we'll let people know it's already starting to fill up, and we haven't even told people a date yet. That's how fast
I,
it's going. So
I
let you guys
haven't
know in
sent out a
advance.
yeah, I haven't sent out a reminder yet. I've got at least 75 that want to be there, and I've been
Yeah,
telling them for the
we're
last
not
year.
going 75 there for sure.
Um, we're going to cover all things hard. I don't mean that metaphorically.
Right.
All things hard surface. It's going to cover the vinyl, the stone, porcelain, ceramic, of course. The other tiles. The other tiles are saltillo and porous tiles that need to be waxed.
You have to speak up with your dog stop barking, Mark.
Oh boy.
Have a talk with him.
Anybody got a paintball gun?
Sorry, I want you to start that over again. I want people to understand what this course is going to be. So give it a second till your dogs calm down. Okay, go ahead. Give us the
All right.
rundown of what we're gonna be going through in this class.
So all hard surface covering vinyl. Got to identify it. Got to see where the problem is. The texture's too deep. Guess what? There's filth in those vinyl floors. Did you see the one that was posted? Yeah, I gave it to you. I showed it to you. What forum was it on? Where you commented it looked like he was bleaching the floor out.
Yeah.
Man, was that a who was that? Oh, he's here in Phoenix.
Ouch.
I wish you'd pulled that up.
That's okay.
So
Keep on going.
it was
And
a
we're gonna show them
2 foot
how to we're gonna also show them how to prep and
how
urethane coat
to
if they want to.
prep it
Go ahead.
and coat it with a permanent coating that solves their problem. They bought it thinking vinyl. Yeah, I remember vinyl. It's easy to mop, easy to clean, no problem. No, it isn't. It's got its own new set of issues. And if you don't know how to clean it or can't do something about how hard it is to clean, you'll want to listen to us, Mrs. Jones. We'll suggest, or may we suggest a
What I
better.
found, Mark, the worst best telling customers is we're adding another wear coat. For some reason, customers like that, adding another wear coat to the floor. What's your thoughts on that? How do
Well,
you
a wear
normally
coat,
sell?
there's 2 levels here. We're going to talk about a wear layer or wear coat,
Mhm.
something that's a sacrificial that's going to take the brunt of the wear and tear and will be reserviced at a reasonable every 3 months or not 3 months, every year to 2 years. Just depends on the quality of the coating as
3
to
or
how
5,
long
yeah,
it'll
it
last.
could be. Mhm.
The second level is permanent coatings that do not need refurbishing, that do not need to because they're too hard. They have a pencil hardness of 9. And then there's a Mohs scale.
Harder
Pencil is one
sell,
scale,
but
and
there
Mohs,
are customers for it, yes.
and there are customers who are willing to pay because what's the option? I hate my floor. I
Yeah,
don't know if I want to hire you every year to strip and wax, strip and wax.
right.
What else is my option? Well, you have 2. Rip it out and go put something durable like ceramic or porcelain, or consider our new permanent high-tech molecular bonding coating.
There you
That
go.
is super hard. And you bring samples. You show them. See how hard
Okay,
this
well,
is?
let's
Watch me.
keep going. I want people to understand more. Let's go. Okay, so we're gonna go
All right.
we got
So
the vinyl floors. Go ahead.
we're doing the
Vinyl
vinyl
floors, we're
floors.
coating, we're
The
cleaning,
option
we're
you
stripping.
have for vinyl. and you've got it. Part of that whole course of all those surfaces will be pre-inspection and understanding what you have, what to do if you encounter wax on this or urethane on that. Comprehensive here. We want you
Yes.
equipped. Then we're going to talk about cleaning, of course, ceramic tile. We're going to cover that problem we're having with micro textured glazes that are coming so dominant. They're coming from China, India, I don't know, wherever the capitals of the world that are producing so much porcelain tile, but they're putting these coatings on. This is what I learned from a manufacturer's rep and a buyer. They have a new, I don't know if it's streamlined or it's just another way they're glazing the tile. It's called dry glazing. They actually are able to put on the dry glaze, whether it's electrostatic, whether it's 3D image printing, whether I'm not sure how they're doing. I'd love to be.
Regardless of how they're doing it, it's easy to damage.
Not just damage, it has just got these micro pockets and you can't crazy clean it. Neither can Mrs. Jones. There's nothing you can do. Strippers, solvents, melamine pads, turbos, high heat, wax strippers. There's nothing that's cleaning them. And so the industry's not figuring out. There are fixes. There are ways to reach down in there through enzyme and chelation, and you'll do it. I suggested it to a guy who was doing a floor in Texas. It was a Sheraton hotel. It was 4,000 square feet, and nobody could mop it. Housekeeping was frustrated. They called 3 companies. They tried everything: truck mounts, spinners, scrubbers, CRBs. They used abrasive grit, brushes. They used, and it was doing absolutely nothing. He said, when I got it down there and I used my best chemical and I used a melamine pad with that chemical and I got a little bit of movement. What? Like, that's feeble. That didn't sound hopeful. And he was trying to match out these tiny drips the size of a dime all the way across from the entry to the elevator lobby. And that they thought they had paint drips because it stood out so strong. This was some kind of chemical, and I can bet you it was an enzyme maybe a chelate. And it removed the bond, and they mopped the next day and they were gone in the shape of little dimes. But they didn't know how it happened. They had reviewed all their hotel cameras. They wanted to find out what was dripped, and they couldn't put their finger on anything.
Okay. So, all right. Okay, we're going to be doing that. Let's go to the next surface.
Okay, the next surface after porcelain, we're going to talk about how to repair nicks, chips, hairline cracks, and grout, of course. It's all needing to be repaired. Then we're going to move over from there to the other surfaces like quartz and granite and things that need to be cleaned. Now, you're not going to put a floor machine on it. You're not going to put a turbo on it. Well, you put a mini turbo maybe. You're going to use different tools. But you're going to restore, you're going to clean, and you're going to seal or protect. So every one of these surfaces, including shower glass, where we're going to learn how to take off soap, scum, and scale.
And I also want to mention we're going to be doing hardwoods, laminates, engineered wood also.
Yeah, engineered wood. Because the reason engineered wood is so wonderful, it's real wood, but it's been mounted to something else. And there's a process.
All hard surfaces will be covered in this course. I want people to know that, and
including the shower glass.
Show you how to identify it, how to preset, expectations,
and how to sell and close it.
How to sell it, how to close it. Really confidence is the key. There's no doubt about it. And coming through the course, they'll definitely get the confidence. I'm confident we're going to fill up probably as soon as we announce the date, within 24, 48 hours.
We just have to then set another date for a redo.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. So keep that in mind. Well, Mark, I'll try to keep this at an hour. We're a little bit over an hour already. Is there anything you wanted to add to this? The pre-inspection, we're shooting for tile and grout restoration. So we're not just shooting for a clean. We're trying to offer customers a restoration. In other words, if there's repairs, things that are missing, things that are going on, we're trying to restore the original look or improve the original look.
Absolutely.
Or add a wear layer, or what you want to call a microscopic, wear coat over top of it.
They might have bought a wrong product and they don't know they bought a wrong product, so they've lived on it a while, right?
Or they moved into a home that already had it.
Right. They don't even know what they have. So you're there as a service to identify, help them with their problem, and then make their home a much happier, much better place.
Exactly.
Shower glass, your scale on the pans, repairing grout, opportunities everywhere.
Color sealing too, color sealing, clear sealing. different coatings, all that'll be covered in there.
Right.
All that. It's a lot to cover, and it's going to be 3 days. Is that where we're at, Mark? 3 days?
3-day comprehensive.
Yeah, very comprehensive. But Mark has a way of covering the science. I have a way of making things that are difficult and making them simple, easy, and practical and applicable to understand. That's my angle. Where Mark's just the in-depth scientific view, which is great. I think that's why we bounce off of each other. Really good, Mark. And I look forward to doing that. So it'll be in May, hopefully in the first couple of weeks of May. So if you're interested, definitely send Mark a message, send me a message. Remember, this podcast is available on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, and you can find it on our Truck Mount Forums fan page. You can find it on Truck Mount Forums professional, private carpet cleaners and tile cleaners and restorers page also. So we have all these avenues where you can find this. You guys can take this information. You can listen to it while you're just driving around. And hopefully each week, hopefully I get people like Mark or Mark. I like having Mark on here because we can break it down one topic at a time and really explain it to you guys in detail. But really, last thing I want to say is it is really good to have all this basic knowledge, but until you get your feet wet, until you either do it with us or you just jump in on a floor. I mean, I have to admit, I was a little worried about my first LVT floor, but I just went out and did it. And then I realized, wow, this is a whole lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. And I think that's what you're going to find with a lot of things. But when it does get to hardwoods, when it does get to stone, now we're moving to some other nuances. So if you could start off with LVT and LVP being so prolific now in the market, get that down pat. And they're simulated floors anyway, simulated wood or simulated stone or whatever, So you're Mark, I think it's a great transition for people to practice on those floors, learn on those floors, and then move over to some of the other surfaces if they don't have all the education or experience. What do you think?
Yeah, and you always learn by doing, but if you can fast track it, you're there first. They project by 2026, LVP or things like it are going to be outstripping and dominant over the current carpet. Carpet's been king. I don't think it's ever going to die, but we're seeing huge demand for area rugs.
Market share being stolen. Yes. Hey, just the house we went to today where Matt sold, my technician sold $1,200 LVP strip job. It was 800 square feet downstairs. A lot of people are putting this stuff downstairs and then they're going soft surfaces upstairs. So, and we're also going to have a soft surface class too, by the way. Anyway, we've gone over time, Mark, quite a bit, as always. It's always a pleasure, Mark, getting up with you, my man. You're very knowledgeable, and we appreciate all your expertise that you bring to the industry. And I really feel like if you guys can get to this class, don't miss out on it. It is going to be priceless. And really, 1 or 2 floors, you're going to pay for the class easily, right? I mean, these floors really add up the profit on them. It's just crazy. Just with that LVP we did today, just stripping it, $1,200. One job, so it adds up considerably. Easily. Well, I'm Rob Allen with Truck Mount Forums. This is Mark Markovic. Mark, we really appreciate your time, bud.
Hey, thank you. Have a good Easter tomorrow.
And listen, by the way, if you guys have any questions and stuff like that, feel free to post them up in here. And Mark and I would be glad to answer them inside the Truck Mount Forums private page and on the fan page. Thanks a lot, Mark. Have yourself a great night, bud.
Good night, you too.
All right, thank you.